Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Front No Access podcast. I am your host, Russo Steven.
I am your host, Gonzalez Anthony.
So guys, UFC 309 is this week. It's not happening. The main event's not happening. It's John Jones and Stipe Miocic, but we all know that fight's not happening.
It would be, but we have already got a defending heavyweight, so.
We already got a defending. Guys, I want to apologize for the absolute cracked out crash out I'm on right now. I have been very busy this week, to say the least, and I've had a lot of things that are confusing me.
Well, you've only got like 2 tests, you got a quiz coming up, you have 3 articles to write. What do you mean?
I'm fine, Anthony.
You have plenty of time.
I'm fine. But, we promised you every single pay-per-view. And God fucking mothering damn it, here we are.
Pepsi, hit us up.
Alright, yeah, so Pepsi, hit us up. We have your product here. We got Mountain Dew, we got Baja Blast, we got the bottles. These bottles suck. I like the content within them, but I don't like this bottle structure. Can you just put, like, the ones that are in gas stations in those little rings, please? Because them shits hit supremely different. I got Prime here, too. I mean, I'm not a fan of Lunchly, but I do like Prime. So, there we go! We just had an election here in the U.S. that's causing a bunch of fucking, if you know what I'm saying. So, not gonna get into that. Obviously, we're not that kind of a podcast, but, guys.
For sports and entertainment.
Yeah! So, if you want a news podcast, and politics podcast, dude, there's like 9 trillion of them. You can find them. I'm not going to give any recommendations, but you can find them.
I heard the good 5-cent cigar.
Yeah, the good 5-cent cigar. URI's own newspaper is a very reliable news source, but it's mostly university news. And universities' reactions to world news. So, I actually was just doing election coverage for them on Tuesday, on election night, and that was a long fucking night, man. It really was.
They locked him in the building.
They locked me in the building. I was like, eh. They're lucky I like them. Anyway. Ugh. We have, obviously we're uploading this during Fight Week for UFC 309, but at the time we were recording this, it is Friday, November 8th, 2024, and there's fights this weekend. We have Neil Magny versus Carlos Prates. I mean, it's not like the biggest thing in the world, but it's still fights. And you never know if you're going to see something special. Name value is not everything, guys, although it does hold a lot of weight. But, yeah, so we're going to go over the main card. And these fucking prelims are, there's a couple in there. We got Jim Miller in there. We got Nikita Krylov. And we have Chris Weidman. So I guess we'll talk about those fights. Early prelims. I mean, we have Marcin Tybura. That's about it. Anthony Smith and Dominic Reyes got canceled, unfortunately, so that will not be touched on today. But Marcin Tybura is a pretty scary heavyweight right now. He's got a lot of traction behind him, and he's got some potential, and he's facing up against Hanata Deniz. I probably totally butchered that man's name. But, yeah, so they're going to be facing off. It's 8-0 versus 25-9. So, I mean, all I know is Marcin Tybura has been doing pretty good lately. And I'm excited to see what happens. I'm not going to say that I'm going to say he wins, but, like, he might, and he probably will. But I'm not going to make a dead set prediction because I just don't want to. So, yeah, Marcin Tybura, guys.
There's our live studio audience right behind me.
Yeah, yo! Shout out Isaac. Anyway, he's going to be fact-checking us tonight and helping us out when we can't remember the names of shit. So, yeah. This thing looks really, really, really sus if you look at it in a certain direction.
It looks, no idea what you're talking about.
It looks really sus.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It kind of rhymes with up hug. Anyway, so that's Steven today.
Just saying, I did offer to shoot this podcast with him tomorrow. He was gun set on doing it today.
Doing it today. I don't give a fuck. The Rock doesn't give a fuck. The final boss. I'm fucking dying over here.
Maybe we'll do a review on that movie.
What, Red One?
Yeah.
The new film that's coming out with Dwayne Johnson and Chris Evans. Both very happy guys. Chris Evans, he's pretty cool. A little arrogant, but so is every celebrity. So, we love him to death, though. And I love the way he played Captain America. It just fit. Anyway, that was last podcast, though. Let's talk about Jim Miller. Why is this guy not fucking retired yet?
You don't wanna?
I mean,
You go tell him to retire.
yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, that's absolutely hilarious. I'm not gonna tell him shit.
That is why he's not retired yet.
And but I can commentate on it and give my opinion on it. And Jim Miller has been around since fucking forever ago. I mean, I gotta respect the longevity, but like at the same time, man, what are you doing? You're just getting more damage to yourself. I mean, I get it. It's like an addiction when you're training like that because like you feel like if you don't have it, then you're like, what the fuck? You stop fighting and then you're like, now what? I can't. I don't fight anymore. I think that's what's happening with Tony Ferguson. I think he just doesn't want to give it up because he'd feel lost without fighting. If you completely morph your identity around being a fighter, you're gonna fall into a fucking crisis. But I'm not gonna say Jim Miller's fallen into that crisis at all.
I was gonna
But
say these guys are rich enough. They can experience a VR headset. There's other shit to do.
exactly. But I mean, Jim Miller has had a okay record. I mean, he got his ass handed to him last time, but then he kicked ass the time before that. So I mean, he's Jim Miller. And he's facing up against Damon Jackson. I don't know much about that guy at all, if I'm going to be completely and totally honest with you guys. But, it should be an interesting fight. And do you think Jim Miller retires after this?
I don't. If I think he's gonna retire, it'll be at some specific numbered one. Like, I'm not gonna say he's gonna make it up 400, but
Dude, he'll be like 50 by then.
like 350.
Yeah, he's going to retire on like a number. I mean, I'm just saying he kind of dropped the ball with 300. He could have just hung it up there, but
Exactly, and because he did it, means I think he's gonna keep moving forward.
yeah, but I'm going to hope for the best and hope he gets this dub. I don't know if he will. He might. He might not. I can't really predict Jim Miller fights. It's really hard. Because sometimes he goes in there and he just fucks on all the young guys, and then sometimes the young guys go in there and just fuck on him. So, I mean, like...
It sounds like he's exactly like his name. It's just like, oh shit, he's Jim Miller. Or, oh shit, it's Jim Miller.
Jim A10 Miller. This guy has made his UFC debut in fucking UFC 89. We weren't even at 100 yet. He fought on 100. He fought on 200. He fought on 300. That guy's a nutcase. Love him though, and I hope the best for this fight. But I gotta say, I think Jim Miller's end is near. I don't think he should stay around for much longer. Just because I don't want to see him get really, really hurt. You know, it's not out of the fact that I don't want him to fight. No, he's excellent to watch, but it's just I don't want to see him get hurt more than he already has to. I mean, I've already been suffering through watching Tony Ferguson lose over and over and over and over again when this guy was unstoppable at one point. I just don't want that to happen to Jim Miller.
He did make the baddest motherfuckers list. If you guys are wondering.
Oh yeah, we're gonna make an episode on that at some point. Maybe towards the end of the year when UFC goes on their break, and then we don't have anything to do on Saturdays for 3 weeks.
What we'll also do is we'll release a special, a 2-part special. We're gonna do the Max Holloway before the BML, which has been archived
and
for
not out yet.
Months, and then we'll do a new one after the weight change.
Yeah.
We'll just upload them back to back.
Now, let me tell you. All right, so we're going to do that probably when UFC goes on their off season. But let me tell you something about another prelim on here. Chris Weidman. I know I was talking a lot about Jim Miller and how he probably won't retire after this one. I honestly think this is the end of the road for Chris Weidman. I think this is his last fight. I think he's not going to be coming back after this one. But that doesn't necessarily mean I think he doesn't have a chance. He's facing up against somebody that has like an identical record to him. 16-8 versus 16-7. Chris Weidman 16-7. Other guy 16-8. It's actually a pretty good match on paper. Eric Anders is his opponent, and I honestly think this is the end of the road for Chris Weidman. I don't believe he will be continuing after this one. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think he's going to continue. I mean, the guy took that fucking disgusting leg break back in 2021 against Uriah Hall, and it took him 2.5 years to come back. And then when he came back, he lost, and then he lost again, and now I mean, he fought valiantly both times, but now this is his third fight back, and I just can't say I have much faith in him for this one. So I think Chris Weidman loses and hangs up the gloves for this one. I love Chris Weidman. Obviously, his big career highlight was knocking out Anderson Silva when Anderson Silva was kind of styling on him, being all cocky and shit. Then he just got him with a good hook, and down went one of the greatest of all time by the hands of Chris Weidman, who was seen as a very middle-of-the-road contender. Think Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya. Chris Weidman was Strickland. So, maybe not a 5-round domination, but an unexpected finish. And that's how it was able to happen. But Chris Weidman should not hang his head on his career. He's had an excellent one. Obviously, guy's a former champion. Guy has a legendary career and a very good legacy, but I think Chris Weidman's done after this. And what you got? What you thinking?
Yeah, I'm hoping he retires too. And I want him to win this. I'm not saying I think he'll win this. I don't think he'll lose this. I don't really have too much opinion. It's a 50-50 for me, but I want him to win it.
Yeah. I mean, that leg break did a lot for him, man. I think that was a big... I'm surprised he didn't, like, hang it up right after that leg break. I mean, when Uriah Hall checked it, it was, like, the perfect check. Yeah, it fucking snapped that shit right in half. A couple months later, we'd have Conor McGregor snap his leg in half, too. So, I mean, it was a lot of leg snapping.
Before it was cool.
Yep, so Chris Weidman did it before it was cool. And, but, you know, it's just definitely very, it's upsetting to see Chris Weidman make this epic comeback to the cage and then just not perform as well as everybody would have hoped. But, you know, that's the sport, man. Sometimes you create highlights, like the time he knocked out Anderson Silva, and sometimes you are the highlight. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, I shout out to him for making, like, this really gutsy return and, you know, coming back after such an injury like that at his age. He's like 38 years old. The guy isn't he ain't no spring chicken. So, I mean, I appreciate his self-discipline. I appreciate his loyalty and dedication to the UFC. But I think this is it for good old Chris Weidman. I think this is the perfect place to do it. He's gonna go against a guy that's equal record to him. I don't know. I don't have the odds on here. I don't even know if the odds are fucking out yet because this fight's still about 2 weeks out. But
this podcast is also off the rails with no notes. We're just going by the fights that we see.
I mean, the last one worked pretty well. I'm actually checking the things right now. So Weidman is the underdog here, and for the Jim Miller fight, Jim Miller is also the underdog, but it's like a plus 115. Dude, it's like barely an underdog, and Weidman's a plus 145. Once again, like barely an underdog. So I think if Chris Weidman is to lose here, which I'm just gonna say I think he's gonna lose the fight, it just hasn't been the same Chris Weidman. I think he's a little too careful with the. I mean, obviously he's gonna be. I mean, I would be too after my leg snaps in half.
But
You know.
I don't want that to happen again.
Yeah, I just think he's really cautious. But if he is to win, then I think that's the perfect place for him to hang it up. Even then, if he doesn't win, he's gonna be in Madison Square Garden on the undercard of a pay-per-view, and he's probably gonna go out with a war. I don't think he's gonna go out like just first round smoked. You know, I just don't think that's what's gonna happen. Weidman's gonna fight to the end, and he's just probably gonna lose. And then once he loses, he's gonna be like, all right, yeah, I'm done. Deuces.
Maybe we can get Mike Bell on the judge card.
Maybe. Man, I think that's the perfect place. I mean, he's gonna be on undercard of a pay-per-view. He's gonna fight like Chris Weidman fights, and then like just hang it up right there with the world watching at the best arena in the world. So,
I
yeah,
thought that was the spear.
that's a different thing. That's like a big like visualization like thing. I'm so severely dying over here, guys. It's like it's like visuals porn, not visual porn, but visuals porn. If that makes any sense. Like they upped the graphics card. They bought the high tier shit, and it's just meant for tech nerds to like goon at it. You know, be like, ooh, look at that.
This
Look at his
Remote
spinny
Access
lights.
is brought to you by Raspberry.
URI's official energy cocktail. Go and pick one up at the Memorial Union. Anyway, we'll save that for my radio show, which that might be getting taken off soon.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm gonna have 2 shows, guys.
On top of 3 articles, and 2 tests, 3 quizzes, another test coming up and a
Hey, man.
deadline.
Hey, man. It's a grind, bro. It's a grind. And Rasbull we trust. And fucking... Guys, college is hard. But, we're getting that experience. I want something in communications and journalism. That is exactly what I'm doing. With this, with the radio show that I might be getting soon, with the articles that I'm writing, and my area of study. So I'm getting as much experience and knowledge as I can. Right now. It's just at the cost of my own well-being, but that's okay.
Well, isn't Bisman out?
Huh?
Mike Bisman. He just had surgery, right?
Yes, he is.
Well, he's your replacement guy.
I'm not cool and British. He's cool and British. I'm a nerd and American. I just happen to really like martial arts and do it myself. And watch it actively and have a podcast on it. But yeah, Chris Weidman, end of the road for you, my friend. I'm sorry. I love you. Don't take it the wrong way.
Wins in first round, 5 seconds, and says "fuck you, Steven."
Damn, I said I didn't mean no harm. I just don't got much hope for you, man. I don't see that same Chris Weidman. But, maybe he'll prove me wrong. He's barely an underdog. So, I mean, he could very much prove me wrong. Anyway, featured prelim is Jonathan Martinez and Marcus McGee. I know Marcus McGee made his debut not all that long ago. And he's like this crazy like striker guy, like knocks people out and shit. Jonathan Martinez is like this crazy wrestler guy. So like the fight is a pick'em on DraftKings right now. So it's
We
bound
can't
to be.
use that site because Rhode Island.
You know what? That's the site everybody else uses. So that's what I'm gonna do. What the fuck, Rhode Island legislation? Legalize fucking DraftKings.
No, they can't attack that.
We have 2 dilapidated bridges. And we spent tax dollars on a fucking airport sign.
Yo, what the fuck is with that?
On a fucking airport sign. Those tax dollars you collected off of all of us. It's not just sports betting. You collected on the property. You collected on the sales. You collected on the income.
And I heard the whole New Connecticut River cleaning thing was all a sham too. The fuck, guys.
What the fuck, Rhode Island local government? I'm gonna run for governor. I can run at 18, right? I don't think there's an age. I think you have to be 18 to run for governor. I know you have to be 35 to run for president.
Yeah.
I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But
And on top of that, that river was actually so bad that I know someone at work who runs a flea market in Olneyville Square. Shout out if you know who you are.
whoop whoop.
But their building was recently bought, and the owners wanted to renovate it for condos, and they can't.
I wonder why.
Because the water is so fucking bad.
Wow.
I've been hearing about you guys cleaning the water for 25 years.
Why hasn't the water been cleaned yet? Some bullshit. Anyway, enough with Rhode Island local government shaz. Yeah, Marcus McGee. I think my guts tell me he gonna win this shit. So there's my prediction right there.
The wrestling one?
What? Nah, he's the striker.
Oh, I'm gonna go with the other one then.
Jonathan
Martinez, because I feel like McGee. The thing is, when they come out and they have like good strikes and whatnot, specifically when they're overly reliant on it, if someone can tank one and get them to wrestle, they're like, oh no, oh no,
oh no,
oh no,
oh no. I mean, nobody's.
I feel like he's gonna get caught with that. I mean, I honestly don't know the chin on this guy, but when it's something like that, when you're known for something and it doesn't go your way, like striking, if it doesn't go his way, I don't think he has a backup card. That's just me.
Yeah, you're right. You have a point. Okay, pay-per-view card. We're speeding through this shit, guys.
Yeah, I gotta get into bed, and we gotta watch SmackDown afterwards, and he's gonna play Blackouts, because that's also gonna be an article of his.
Woo! I already reviewed the Talk Tua podcast.
So
I'm fine. What are you talking about?
Fucked.
I'm not fucked. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm breathing, am I not?
I don't know. I haven't checked.
I'm breathing. My heart's beating. I'm still awake. So that very much tells me my signs of life are very high right now.
Yeah, but
I'm
that
just
either
very
means you're
tired.
gonna suck with your COD playthrough, or you're gonna crash and smack down to a boat.
Yeet. Guys.
I don't have a response. I can't counter a yeet. No yeet.
Yeet. I need help. Somebody get my therapist. Where's my therapist? Anyway. Main guard.
Yes.
Mauricio Ruffi and James Lontop from. Oh wait, no, Yontop. He's from Peru.
Just a disclaimer. If we mispronounce your names here at the Front Row Access Podcast, we do mean to get it right, and we do apologize. But also feel free to contact us at any of our social networks to come on the show and correct it yourself.
Yeah, Front Row Access on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Fuck Facebook, we ain't on that shit. And our email is frontrowaccess15@gmail.com. So go ahead, send us some show suggestions, send us some sponsorships. Please, I'm broke.
I'll take a Rascal sponsor.
Man. If I could get you or I funding for this shit, then I really have to watch what I say on here. I don't want my school involved on this one. But, ultimately it is, whenever you put something out on the internet, it's instantly going to go against you. That's why I just kind of stick to MMA on here. And entertainment. Whee!
I mean, didn't we diss Disney, so we're gonna get, just completely shitted on and destroyed, and whatever else means they can use to,
Yeah, we did shit on Disney. We shit
Yeah.
on Disney a whole lot one episode.
Yeah.
Both, even our most recent episode, we fucking
Yeah.
shit on Disney.
Yeah. Well deserved.
Well deserved. Anyway, no more Mickey Mouse though. Anyway.
I mean, if you guys want us to do a podcast at Disney World,
I love Magic Kingdom. That shit's fire. But like $15 for a water bottle, bro? Really?
they're not gonna send us all expense to Disney World, are they?
No, probably not.
What about Disneyland?
The one in Anaheim? Nah, probably not. If anything, I think we're less likely to get one from there. That's the original. I mean, it does. I don't know which one does more traffic. Does the Orlando one do more traffic,
What about
or does
overseas, like Paris? I know they got one over there.
Is there one in Paris?
There is.
Are you fucking shitting me?
I am not.
There's a fucking Mickey Mouse big ass costume out in fucking Paris. There's a Disney World Francais. Disney Francais. I don't fucking know.
Also, less certain of this, but I remember hearing something about one being in China.
There's one in fucking China?
Well, I mean, they make all the shit. So.
Mickey Mouse in Shanghai? That's insane. I didn't even know about the Paris one. Did they sell exclusively baguettes and cigarettes?
I know about that because they were trying, when they bought the rights to Star Wars, to do a super Space Mountain one that was Star Wars. It utterly failed.
I mean, yeah. It just okay. Back to UFC.
Yes.
I mean, UFC does technically own. Disney does technically own UFC. I mean, UFC's in a partnership with ESPN right now. ESPN's bought by Disney, so I mean, like, technically speaking, Mickey Mouse is Dana White's boss.
I'm picturing that meeting.
Dana White, what are you doing? Why are you only charging $80 for the fucking pay-per-views? You have to be charging $120. Do you think these Disney bills are gonna pay themselves? Anyway, that's my cracked out Mickey Mouse impression. It was probably really bad. But that's just the nature that we're working with today, guys. So, Mauricio Ruffi, as the opener for the main card, he is a minus 1,000 favorite.
So he's gonna lose.
I usually don't like it when they give that high favoritism to people. Because, I mean, most of the time, it ends up being right. But I don't like it when it's that fucking high. Because then that just lets me know that, like what you said, what if they lose? Fucking Amanda Nunes was a minus 1,200 favorite against Juliana Pena. What the fuck did Juliana Pena do to Amanda Nunes in the first fight? Choked her out. I really don't like it when they give like quadruple digits when it comes to fucking odds. I just think it's stupid. Just cap it off at 800. 800 is the highest you can go. That's it. But they're not going to do that because the betting odds are usually made from the amount of people are betting on it. So a lot of people like Mauricio. Makes sense. Guy's got smoke in those hands and he's got excellent jiu-jitsu. Shock. The Brazilian's good at jiu-jitsu. I mean, Mauricio Ruffi by whatever the fuck he wants, but never deny that Peruvian spirit. What you got now?
I'm just gonna go with the odds at this because when it's something like this, it tends to just be a steamroll. Like I don't even need to watch the fight because the outcome's been predicted.
It's just so dumb.
I do root for the underdog though, but I just don't.
Remember that one time you bet on the
Yes,
yeah,
and I failed.
and you failed. You put like $50 on fucking home dude. Again, that was going against Bo Nickel. Can't remember his name right now. I like the guy too. Jesus Christ.
I had to go to fucking Rhode Island Sportsbook for that shit.
Cody Brundage. That's who it was. You bet on Brundage.
Yes, I did.
I mean, you fucking might as well because there's always that potential. Bo Nickel was like a minus 1,700 favorite for that fight. I was like, what the fuck? At UFC 300. And then I was like, yo, if you just bet like $50 on fucking Brundage to win, dude, you're gonna make like close to $1,000 probably, if not $8,000. So I forget exactly what his odds were, but like if you put $50 down, it's like a plus 800 underdog. Not only are you gonna double your money, you're gonna get like $900 out of that shit. So I mean, like I think that's how it works. I don't know. I don't bet on sports. I didn't set up my Rhode Island Sportsbook profile right. I spelled my last name wrong. Yeah, that was crazy. And I feel as the
that was before you drank. How did you misspell your own last name?
You see, O is really close to I on the keyboard, and especially in the QWERTY keyboard. So like, I might have changed it to an I, not no. So that's what happened. But I mean, it is matched to like my social, but like at the same time, that could also just be fraud. So I'm just not betting. I'm like, I'm just not gonna bet. And plus, I think betting's kind of dumb. That's me though. I mean, I'm gonna tell you guys the odds because I know a lot of people bet on these things. So like, if a lot of people are gonna bet on them, I might as well tell you what the underdog and favorite are. So
yeah, I don't even actually bet on sports, so
yeah, no, not you. I mean, like in general, to people that might be watching this, like there are people that a good amount of people that bet on UFC. So I'm like, I might as well tell you guys the odds. But I honestly think it's kind of stupid. That's me. I just think, and it also takes away from your enjoyment of the product. Maybe your enjoyment of the product is risking your money and seeing if you hit or not, which can very much be the case. But that's just gambling addiction. Huh?
Isn't there a Drake cart?
Yeah. Whoever Drake bets on, you like 8 times out of 10 usually ends up losing. He bet on Israel Adesanya to beat Sean Strickland, and welp. And welp. He bet on Israel Adesanya to beat Alex Pereira the first time, and welp. The first time in MMA, should I say. He voted on Volkanovski to beat Islam Makhachev, and, well... How'd that go? Anyway, that's why I tell you guys the odds, even though I don't like personally like it. I just think it's kind of dumb. But that's me. I don't give a shit if you do it. That's why I tell you guys the odds, so you can make your betting fun again. Make betting great again. I don't know. Anyway, Vivian Araujo and Karine Silva, your second fight on the main card. Vivian Araujo has been a very busy girl the past year or so. She's been fighting a whole lot. It seems like every like 2 or 3 months she's fighting. No, wait, no, maybe not 2 or 3. That's a quick turnaround. Like 3 or 4 months, she's always fighting. So she's been busy. She doesn't always win though. But that doesn't matter. I like the activity. I like the effort. You know, get that paycheck, even if it's only half of it. I'd be doing the same shit. If you're gonna pay me $1 million to fucking take a dive, I'm gonna take a dive. So yeah, so Vivian Araujo and Karine Silva. Karine Silva is your favorite, and I think that's fair, just because of how spotty Vivian Araujo has been with her wins. Like, she'll win some, then she'll lose some, like, really decisively, then she'll lose some like indecisively, then she'll win. It's just like she's had a very crazy dynamic the past couple of years or so.
Roller coaster.
Yeah, of lots of wins and losses and like all things in between. But fuck it. I understand why other girls the favorite, but I'm taking Vivian to win this
I am
one.
too.
Mhm.
I feel like this is one of the times she's gonna show up.
She's
I
a
base this out of nothing.
she's a plus 225 underdog to a minus 275 Karine Silva. That's a pretty hefty favorite. But at the same time, I don't know. I just think Vivian's due a win. So I'm gonna be taking her for this one, just out of my own hunch. Am I gonna be completely wrong? Yeah, probably. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Now, anyway, we got No Bickle and Paul Craig. They're going at it at middleweight. And Paul Craig makes his return back to middleweight. Thank the Lord. Past the ammunition. The dude was getting fucking killed at light heavyweight. And he actually looks pretty good at middleweight. Just his last fight was Kyle Baralio. And he just knocked out Jared Cannonier. So, poor Paul Craig. That was his last time out, UFC 301 against Kaio, and Kaio just fucking pummeled him. It was bad. It was like a fucking destruction of Paul Craig, and I'm like, Paul Craig's kind of cool. He wears that like Scottish war paint at every single like weigh-in that he's at, and it just looks really fucking cool. And I like the guy. He seems really cool. I definitely want to like get drinks with him. So like, I feel like he'd be really fun once you get a couple beers in him. So I mean, I love Paul Craig, but I mean, the guy is like the definition of a specialist. He's only good at jiu-jitsu. Everything else leaves a lot to be desired. His striking is mediocre. His boxing is slow. His kicks are even slower. And the guy doesn't move his head at all. He just stands stiff like this, and that's how he gets fucking caught. But goddamn it, once he gets to your legs and takes you down, you're fucked.
I mean, Khabib was a specialist. He did pretty well.
I mean, but as Khabib went on, his striking got a lot better. It just Paul Craig has fought like Paul Craig for the past like 5 years, like no evolution. Maybe a little bit better striking, but even then, not as much progress as Khabib made as a wrestling specialist. So I mean, he's kind of got this really janky record. It's really up and down, very side to side. You know, it's not very clear cut. I mean, he beat Jamal Hill, but then he loses to like people that I've never even heard of. You know what I mean? Like, but he beat Jamal Hill early in his career, so I mean, I guess that's a kind of a different dynamic there. But yeah, but Paul Craig's got excellent ground game, which is usually a really good counter to people that are at middleweight, because most of middleweight are strikers. Not Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel is a D1 wrestler, guys. If you think that Paul Craig's going to be shooting in on Bo Nickel and taking Nickel down, that's not happening, dude. I'm sorry. Bo Nickel's too fucking good. The only way that I see Nickel losing this one is if he's like, makes a dumb mistake on the ground and falls into like a triangle choke or something. That's like the only way I see him losing. And because, I mean, that guard of Paul Craig's is dangerous. Like, his guard, dude, he's going to constantly be attacking shit. He attacks, like, Moras, arm bars, triangles. He even tries to take the back. He looks for sweeps. The guy's guard is deadly. His jiu-jitsu is insane. But everything else, there's a lot more to be desired. But if you're going as a grappler against a wrestler, usually, I mean, that's literally the only way I can see Bo Nickel losing. Maybe if Paul Craig jumps Gilly on him when he shoots in. But even then, Bo Nickel shoots so fast. I don't know if he'll be able to get that guillotine in time. But I think that's like the only way he loses. If he gets caught in a guillotine and he can't get out, or if he just falls into a triangle choke, like, stupidly. That's like the only way I see Bo Nickel losing this one. So give me Bo Nickel to beat Paul Craig by whatever the fuck he wants.
What's Nickel's odds look like?
Minus 1,000. Another minus 1,000 favorite on the
I was
card.
gonna say a lot of negative 4 digits this time round.
And plus 600 for Paul Craig. And yeah, it's like the same odds as the Mauricio and James fight that I talked about at the beginning. So yeah, I mean, I'm taking Bo Nickel to extend his winning streak to 7-0 and keep his perfect record in the UFC by like whatever the fuck he wants. But maybe Paul Craig can surprise me.
I got Nickel for this, and I'm gonna say ground and pound.
Ground and pound
Hell,
TKO.
I'll even say deciding between first and second. I want to say second, so I'm gonna go with second round.
Second round, but Bo Nickel could easily put something away like really fast.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, that guy's really good. He's one of my
Depending on
favorite.
how fast Craig loses advantage.
He loses like once he loses like his rhythm once, it's just a snowball. Like you saw him crumble against Kaio at 301, dude. He was doing okay, and then he got caught with something, and then dude was cooked after that. Fucking flatline. But yeah, Bo Nickel, that should be a fun fight in the featured fight spot. So Bo Nickel's pretty high up on pay-per-view cards these days, guys. He's one of my favorite prospects to watch right now. I always look forward to his fights just because I'm really intrigued by him.
Is he
such...
from Dana White's Contender Series?
Yes. He was an excellent college wrestler, like D1 champion, D1 state champion, and he like dominated in his Dana White's Contender Series debut.
So you're saying that you could take him?
Fuck no. What are you talking about? That dude's been wrestling since he's like fucking 3, I bet. But hey, good on him, you know? And I like him. I think he's cool. A lot of people are like, he's got all this Dana White privilege. I'm like, everybody's got some amount. Anybody from the Contender Series has some amount of Dana White privilege in there.
You can't say anybody because we have an interim heavyweight champion.
Yeah, like anybody that comes off the Contender Series is gonna have a little bit of Dana White privilege in them. So I mean, like, Dana White Contender Series is a permanent thing, and it's like an excellent show. You guys should totally watch it. It's not going on anymore. The season's over. But yeah, it's really good. But anyway, here's your main event, guys, because the actual main event isn't gonna happen, but we're still gonna go over it as if it's going to happen. Here's your main event: Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler. I'm excited for this one. I really am. I'm so happy that Michael Chandler moved on from Conor McGregor. He was killing his career by waiting for that unreliable Irishman. So
he's got a presidency to worry about. Okay.
I can't believe dude wants to get into politics. But anyway, Michael Chandler, you guys know him, you guys love him. He is a kill or be killed kind of fighter, former Bellator lightweight champion, former UFC title challenger against Charles Oliveira. Now, guys, this is a rematch. This is a rematch. 3 years in the making, this one. So, their first meeting was insane. I remember watching that fight when it happened. It was fucking insane the way it went down. Michael Chandler had just come fresh off of a first-round knockout of Dan Hooker earlier that year in January. It was May when he fought for the title. Dana White privilege. Anyway, but he was the former champion in Bellator, so it makes sense that in UFC, they're going to want to put him onto that train to become a champion in the UFC, so they can show, hey, everybody that's at Bellator, hey, look how we treat our Bellator guys. Get the fuck out of Bellator. So, we all know how that goes. So that's why he got a top 5 fight on debut. On debut, he got a top 5 fight against Dan Hooker. Fucking smoked him.
Did an MVP get a top fighter?
Yeah, he got Kevin Holland. That was his first fight. Kevin Holland was top 15, though. He wasn't top 5. They gave Michael Chandler top 5 coming in. Michael Chandler, his kill or be killed. His big thing is his explosivity. That guy can go from completely dormant, just resting, to exploding into your legs and then fucking taking you down, or just barraging you with a fucking array of uppercuts and hooks. This guy is a fucking brute, which is a great thing, because if you don't know how to handle that pressure, he's gonna get you. Ask Dan Hooker, ask Tony Ferguson. But if you're crafty, you're gonna catch him, you're gonna find a way to beat him. Ask Dustin Poirier, ask Justin Gaethje, ask Charles Oliveira. So, how their first fight started. Michael Chandler came balls to the fucking wall after Charles Oliveira. Almost nearly knocked him out in the first round. Almost became a champion in the first round of their title fight. We go back to the corners after Chandler won that round, obviously. Charles Oliveira comes back in the second, fucking knocks out Michael Chandler. Now, mind you guys, Charles Oliveira isn't a fucking striker. He's evolved a lot to become a very diverse striker now, but that's not his bread and butter. His bread and butter is jiu-jitsu. This guy, not a striker, and he knocked out the fucking wrestler.
Bread and butter is an imitation of a backpack.
Yes. So, I mean, Charles Oliveira came back round 2 after being down a round clearly and found a way to win. He won the vacant title. They haven't fought since. Also, Michael Chandler's been doing a very bad job of winning fights since. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not entertained when Michael Chandler's fighting. Yes, I'm very entertained when Michael Chandler's fighting. But you can't purely fight for entertainment. You gotta have to try to win, man. I mean, I know you're trying to win, but you're trying to win in like these flashy ways, man. You're gonna get caught. And he's gotten caught. Fucking Gaethje got him. Fucking Dustin got him. Like, guy has not done a very good job at winning fights lately. He only has 2 wins in the UFC over Dan Hooker and an aging, declining Tony Ferguson. Not even like prime Ferguson, because I think if he went against prime Ferguson, he would have died. But Michael Chandler is forever entertaining. Overall, just a good guy. I'm a big fan of his, but I'm also a big fan of Charles Oliveira. So, to be honest, the real winner of this fight are the fans. This is an excellent fight, and it's a rematch that's really intriguing because we never really got much closure on it. I mean, we got closure. Charles Oliveira knocked him out. But, like, how do we know that wasn't just Charles' moment? Like, was it just a fluke on Chandler's part? Because Chandler was dogging on Charles Oliveira for the first round.
You're telling me when you hear Charles Oliveira, you don't think knockout?
No, not usually. I usually think submission with Charles Oliveira. So, I mean, it's Charles Oliveira's first time in the octagon since UFC 300. He took the L to Arman Tsarukyan, unfortunately. He got beat everywhere that night, man. It was bad. I thought Oliveira would have the striking advantage over Arman because Arman's striking style is kind of wide and very open, similar to Michael Chandler's. So I thought that maybe that Charles would have advantage in the striking over Arman Tsarukyan's like, smothering grappling. But this fight looks a lot like Michael Chandler stylistically is similar to Arman Tsarukyan. So, I mean, he just has a little bit more explosivity than him. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Charles Oliveira did well in, like, the last round of that fight, but he was getting beat in, like, every realm that night against Arman. But regardless of that, though, Charles Oliveira is still a minus 260 favorite. Michael Chandler has not fought since UFC 281 in November of 2022 when he got submitted by Dustin Poirier. So,
Yeah, you told me his next fight was McGregor.
Yeah, and then he waited 2 years for a McGregor fight. It never happened.
He even went on fucking WWE and cut a heel promo.
Yeah, on Conor McGregor. The taller guy with the more reach is Charles Oliveira. And this guy's, I mean, it's a really close fight. I like the matchup. I mean, Charles Oliveira is very well-rounded, very diverse striker, and Michael Chandler's just a fucking brute. But I mean, 2 years away, that's a long time. Obviously, he's still in shape, he's still training, but that does something, man. And Charles Oliveira is just very unpredictable. I'm very like torn on picking a guy for this. But I think, honestly, this is Chandler. I think Chandler's going to get his redemption here. I think the explosivity might be a little bit much for Charles Oliveira, and I think that first round really that first round of their first fight really shows like the power difference between the two of them and like how they fight. I mean, Charles Oliveira is way too crafty, so he could easily get Michael Chandler down and out of there quickly. But man, Michael Chandler's been on the fence for like 2 years. So I think this is a do or die for Michael Chandler. And I think Michael Chandler's going to really go in on it and somehow, some way Michael Chandler's going to beat Charles Oliveira. What you got?
I'm still Oliveira's guy, so I got Oliveira for this.
Mm-hmm.
I just love Oliveira as a person and the following he created. I also love how well he was doing when I first got into UFC, like 2 years ago now. It's January, and you guys are all hating on him. You guys, I'm not talking about you guys. We didn't do the podcast. I'm talking about my family, cousin there, and my older brother, who maybe we'll get on the baddest motherfucker is the baddest motherfucker. But yeah, they were just not really big on Charles Oliveira, and they couldn't tell me why exactly. Because from what I've seen, he was a defending champion. He was active. He didn't shy away from fights, and he didn't seem disrespectful. He was like, well, I'm going to root for him since you guys are against him. And then I did, and they eventually hopped on board too.
Yeah, just the reason why I didn't like Charles was because he was beating all my favorite fighters. That was really, I was just salty. That was about it. Charles Oliveira himself, though, I love him. I love the guy. He's great. Even then, when I was hating on him, I still had a little bit of love for him. You know, just because I loved like his activity. I loved how fun his fights were. But like, I was just salty, man.
Yeah, that's literally just like all our haters that we have on these that leave comments and whatnot.
Yeah, it's just older, wiser. Looking back at it, I really had no reason to be upset with him. So, water under the bridge. I love Charles Oliveira.
I'm fucking that back chat.
Yeah. So I got Michael Chandler. You got Charles Oliveira. I wouldn't mind seeing either of these guys win, obviously. So I mean, Chandler's a brute. Oliveira's crafty as shit. It'd be interesting to see which one wins here. It's like a cat and mouse game, basically. Maybe not cat and mouse, but like I can't really make another comparison other than that though.
I'll be honest, idealistically, what I'm hoping for is that this sets Oliveira back on the path to be in titleship contention. Because
I mean, he hasn't gotten that rematch with Islam yet. He was supposed to last year, just didn't happen. Just didn't wear headgear one day.
Yeah.
Wear your headgear when you're sparring, guys, especially when you're a week out from your fight. You shouldn't even be sparring by that time. But
you don't believe in being over prepared, and with an opponent like Islam, you can see why.
That's true. So yeah, I mean, I think Michael Chandler has said this is a number one contender fight for the lightweight title. I mean, obviously Arman Sarukian and Islam Makhachev have to do their dance. Arman's next in line. I heard rumors that fight is going to be January's pay-per-view. So, or at least on January's pay-per-view somewhere. I don't know if it's a main or co-main event. Seeming as it's the lightweight championship, that's like the golden division of the UFC, they're going to probably main event it. I wouldn't be surprised if the middleweight championship is the co-main event for that one because Sean Strickland and Dricus Du Plessis 2 has to happen. And seeming as Izzy lost and Robert Whitaker lost. So, Khamzat Chimaev is next in line. But I think Dracus and Sean Strickland has to happen first. Get a part 2 on that, and then Khamzat gets the winner. I think Khamzat just should not fight until he gets the title now. Which, I don't think we really have to ask him twice about not fighting. So, I think he should just sit it out and wait for Strickland and Du Plessis to pass. And then when Strickland Du Plessis 2 happens, we get closure on that one. Whether Sean wins it back or Dracus just beats him again, which I think is more the case. But, never know. That was a good fight. And, we'll see what happens. And, Khamzat Chimaev should be right after that. And just like with this fight between Oliveira and Michael Chandler, I don't understand why Michael Chandler would get a number one contendership after this fight. I can see why Charles Oliveira would. But, Chandler, Dana White. So, I mean...
Yeah, I was going to say Chandler more so than Oliveira, and that's just because of the Dana White privilege. Plus, Oliveira just lost to
Arman,
who is going to be going for it. So if Arman loses, then it doesn't look as good as it should for Charles, because Charles lost to Arman. But that's why I would think that Chandler more so than Oliveira. I'm still diehard Oliveira, by the way. I want him next up for the title, but I can see why it might not be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Michael Chandler should be getting anywhere near a number one contendership fight right now. Dude's put himself on the shelf for 2 years, but
Well, they probably just feel bad for him because he did that.
yeah, but then at the same time, you sit in the grave you dig, man. You you lay in the bed you make. But maybe that's just my outlook on things. But or maybe
Well, I
I'm
mean, in a non-biased standpoint, yes, but you're not taking into fact that it is biased because you got Dana White and Joe Rogan and all them.
and
That,
Hunter Campbell too.
yeah,
So
make the fights.
yep. So this is a number one contendership fight. I guess it makes sense. I see it more making sense for Charles Oliveira than I do Michael Chandler. But fuck it, Michael Chandler too. I guess we'll throw him a bone for taking 2 years of his career to try to fight McGregor. Dumbass. Anyway, moving on to the actual main event. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, you say actual,
the actual main event that's the main event that's scheduled, should I say? The actual main event we just went over, Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira. This is the main event that's scheduled. That's not going to happen. All right. John Jones defends his heavyweight title against Stipe Miocic. Fucking hate this matchup. Fucking hate it.
I was gonna say you use the word defend. Don't we already have a defending heavyweight champion?
Yeah, a defending interim champion. So fucking dumb. Yeah. Interim belt means you get next shot at champion, not old man Stipe.
No.
But, I mean, Stipe is the plus 450 underdog here. John Jones is a minus 700 favorite. Makes sense. Stipe Miocic last fought in March of 2021. He got knocked out by Francis Ngannou, who ain't even with the company no more.
But he is champion over.
He is champion over PFL, though. Congratulations to Francis Ngannou. That was not his fight to lose. That dude had his son. He was fighting for his kid, man. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're not gonna win that fight. I'm sorry. The dude's kid died. He lost 2 fights in boxing, and he got knocked out in his last one. This bro is not losing this one. And that's exactly what happened. Round 1, flattened him out, some ground and pound till he made no sound. And now Francis Ngannou is your heavyweight PFL champion.
Maybe we should do a time where we dive into the champions of like PFL or 1FL.
That's gonna be hard.
Hey, I never said we had to watch them. I said to dive into them.
True. Anyway, back to the scheduled main event. That isn't gonna happen. Because John Jones is the most unreliable fighter ever, even more unreliable than Conor McGregor. And Stipe Miocic, he's just happy to be here, man. At this point, the guy has not fought in 3.5 years. I mean, my dude is.
He thought Dana lost his number.
My dude should not be walking back into a title fight. But he is the greatest heavyweight of all time. He does have the most heavyweight title defenses with 3. So, I mean, holding down a division like the heavyweight division, that's hard to do. That belt moves everywhere. So, you look at the fights on paper, though. Just from a skill standpoint, and this is assuming that Stipe Miocic still has the same skill that he left the UFC with, they're pretty even. As far as skills concerned, I'm going to be honest. I mean, I think Stipe's got better boxing than John Jones. John Jones has better kicks than Stipe. Stipe and John Jones have about the equal amount of wrestling. I think John Jones has a slight advantage when it comes to jiu-jitsu. But regardless, though, I think they're both about the same skill level when it comes to wrestling. Both Stipe and John Jones. They're both college wrestlers that went crazy and decided to fight. And, I mean, Stipe's got better boxing. He's got them good hands. And, John Jones got them good kicks. So, I mean, on paper, if we're going skill for skill here, this should be a closer fight than it's actually marketed to be. But just because Stipe has not been active. I mean, yeah, we saw Stipe fall down, but he fell down against fucking Francis Ngannou, dude. Everybody's falling down to Francis Ngannou. I'm sorry. I mean, other than that, Stipe's a hard motherfucker to knock out. He really is. That dude has, like, some fucking Ohio chin. Like, he's from Cleveland, Ohio, and, like, dude has, like, a granite chin. I'm like, how in the fuck have you only been knocked out, like, once in your entire career? And it was by Francis fucking Ngannou. I'm like, and we're talking a guy that went up against fucking, like, killers. Alistair Overeem, he went up against him. He went up against Daniel Cormier and beat him twice. So I'm like, dude, like this guy is like really fucking good, and if he still's got those skills, John Jones might be in for something a little bit rude awakening. I mean, John Jones hasn't fought in about a year. He looks really heavy these days. I mean, he's heavyweight, but like John Jones was never like having to carry this much weight around, you know. So I don't know if he's completely adapted to it yet. He might be by now. He hasn't fought in a year and a half, so he could be by now. But they're both 6'4". John Jones has really long arms and legs though, so he's got the 4-inch reach advantage. But both of these guys have the same significant strike accuracy, or around the same, 62.58 for John Jones, 62.43 for Stipe. Um, they both have the same takedown average, maybe John Jones a little bit more. 1.93 and 1.86 for Stipe, 1.93 for John Jones. Takedown accuracy is a little bit more for John Jones at 45%. 34% for Stipe, but Stipe shoots a lot more. He's a lot more active. And all of John Jones' wrestling doesn't come from space. It doesn't come from the center of the octagon. He's not Khabib. He's not shooting in from the center and just, taking motherfuckers down like that. If anything, his takedown is going to come from clinches or against the cage. So, like a trip or something. Stipe is going to be more the one that shoots in from the center. He's going to be like the Khabib here that just goes right off the rib. How will he always succeed? No. But will he keep going? Yeah. And both of these guys get better as the fight goes on. Historically, they both get better as the fight goes on. Daniel Cormier was dogging on Stipe Miocic in the second fight and the third fight in like the first couple of rounds. Then what did Stipe do? Found a way to win at the end. Once again, we're going to use DC again because DC's fought both of these guys and lost to them, sadly. He beat Stipe once, but that was just, he caught him good with a right and put him on his ass. And then ref called the fight. But he didn't get put out cold. It was a TKO. But John Jones, once again, Daniel Cormier was starting to get his wrestling rhythm against him in the first or second fight. The first fight. He was starting to get the wrestling rhythm. He was starting to give him some trouble. And then John Jones found the head kick. So, I mean, both of these guys get better as the fight goes on. Both their cardios are really fucking good. And to be honest, if we're going skill for skill here, inactivity aside, and, all that, and inactivity and age aside, skill for skill, these guys are neck and neck. There's a reason why it's GOAT versus GOAT, But it's just, I think this fight would have been better 10 years ago. But it is what it is. We're getting it now, maybe. But this fight isn't happening. But if it is to happen, I got John Jones winning. But don't be surprised if it's a fucking war with Stipe, because if Stipe has any of the skills that he had when he left the UFC for that little hiatus there, look at Stipe a little bit more and start putting respect on his name, because that's the greatest heavyweight of all time. So, yeah, I mean, I'm going to take John Jones for this, but, it's not going to be a walk-through victory. It's not a minus 725 favorite type of John Jones win, if we're going skill for skill here. And plus, these guys have both been really inactive lately. But I'm still taking John Jones. And then they're both going to retire, probably. What you got, Ant?
As much as I like to disagree with that, I do believe John Jones has it. Going into this, I obviously haven't seen Stipe Miocic fight.
Yeah, Stipe Miocic.
If you want to correct your name, come on the show, please.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, when you were reading the stats, it seemed like Jones edged out just a bit more if it was by 0.2, if it was by 0.04. He's got the bigger advantage, and he's been more active recently.
Not really. I mean, they're both really inactive.
John Jones won a title, and change ago.
Yeah, but that was his first fight in 4 years.
Yeah, but Stipe hasn't won 3.
That's true. That's true.
So, yes, technically he's fought more recently and been at the gym more recently, but one's been firefighting. And that is literally the only reason why I'm giving this to Jones.
Yeah, I mean, skill for skill, man. They're neck and neck. But, like, I don't know. We can't really purely go off of that, though. But, yeah. This fight isn't happening, regardless. But, if it does, then
And while
we're taking John Jones.
we don't think we would never say there's favoritism in the UFC. But if you are an interim champ and a defending one, wouldn't you have the next shot?
Usually that's how it's supposed to go, but not here, because John Jones said Stipe. And Stipe's like, what? You want me to do what? Oh, you want me to fight again? I haven't done that in a while.
What the? Dana? Wait, you have this? What's going on? You got a barbecue?
I mean, this fight was supposed to happen last year. Just fell through because John Jones' pec went pop. And that was the fight to make at the time. Like this time last year when it was supposed to happen. That was the fight. Stipe Miocic returning fight against John Jones. That made sense. John Jones had just won the belt in March, and his fucking pec went pop, so we ruined that, and then Tom Aspinall won the interim championship, and then that's why we're all clamoring for Tom Aspinall to be the one to face John Jones, just because he's the one holding the interim championship. But I'm not dissing this matchup. This matchup is incredible. But, like, wrong time, And if you were going to plan on making an interim title fight, don't make Stipe the first fight as soon as Jones comes back. Because don't make Jones fight Aspinall as soon as he comes back. Stipe, as soon as he comes back, he has to fight Aspinall.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's the only reason why we're clamoring for Aspinall to happen. Is I'm not opposed to this match. This match made sense last year at this time. Like, this was supposed to be the match to make. For John Jones to prove that he's a true GOAT. Or for Stipe to say, you were good at light heavyweight. This is my division, boy. And for the first time, Stipe is going to be the bigger man. Because usually Stipe was always the smaller heavyweight. And any of his title defenses, he was always facing guys bigger than him. Daniel Cormier bigger than him. Alistair Overeem bigger than him. Derek Lewis bigger than him. You know what I mean? Like, he was always a smaller guy. For once, he's going to be the bigger guy doing this fight. I think John Jones is weighing in at like 235 right now. And Stipe's like 250. Not much of an advantage, but an advantage. 20 pounds is 20 pounds. So, I mean, it just sucks, the timing of it all. Like, this should have been John Jones and Aspinall. It shouldn't have been John Jones and Stipe. If it was last year at this time, yeah, John Jones and Stipe made sense. But when you put the interim title in the picture, then it just becomes bullshit that you don't give the interim champion the champion.
It's good. They gave him defense.
Which is bullshit. Which is bullshit. So, I mean, there you have it. This fight's not happening, but if it does, we're taking John Jones. And, but don't think it's going to be a dog walking of him, because if Stipe still's got those skills, and he's been in fight camp since last year. It's not like he hasn't been training lately. So, I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Anyway, that's it for this episode. Anthony, have any closing remarks? Yes. All right, later, guys.